Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass and Move. For today's episode in our Tactics and Team Guide series, we've got a team for you here who are Tottenham, of course. As you can see, we've set up already. We haven't touched anything, of course, as you can tell. And yeah, we'll just try and go through and see how we can get the best out of the squad. So, first things first, of course, we should find out who our best judge of ability is on the staff. And it looks like it's not my assistant manager. At least he's close, he's decent. But we will use Miguel, just because he's a tiny bit better. And we'll see his judgment of the players here. Based on real life and I have no clue how Tottenham actually play in the game. But based on real life, they do have a good squad. Their problem is that they don't have enough depth. And, they've got good youngsters coming through. They've got English players. So really, it's a good squad to build from, essentially. In terms of age, maybe you could say they lack a bit of experience. Just a tiny bit. They do have a fair few players here in their prime, which is actually good. We've got a decent squad, really. We can do something with this team. So let's see what our assistant manager thinks should be our formation. But guessing, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Just as you guessed, with all the top teams, the usual formations of 4-2-3-1. But my bet is with this Tottenham side that you can probably play a 4-3-3 when necessary. And let's see. And then we can say for a counter-attacking formation, we can do the 4-1-4-1 just with like the United squad, I think was the one that we did it for. Let's do that. I think there you go. So these two, we're going to be using, we're giving you different variations basically of formations that you can use, but also different tactics that you can use. So as I always mention, 4-2-3-1 and the 4-3-3 are normally used for, of course, possession-based football. So it doesn't make sense to try and play direct football using these type of formations. So what I like to do is keep things simple. Control's your best bet when it comes to keeping possession. You can lower the tempo, shorter passing, be more expressive, and roam from positions. That's what I always do in my possession-based sides. But people do like to have more type of instruction. So if you're more detail-oriented, you can get rid of be more expressive. You can retain possessions. You can play out of defense. You can work the ball into the box. Use the offside trap and push higher up. Of course, close down more. You can even get stuck in if you're not worried about yellow cards or reds. And if you get narrow, your players will be closer together and they can maintain possession a little bit better. So you can have all these instructions if you like, but my personal preference, keep it as simple as possible. Just shorter, roam, be more expressive, and lower tempo. So that's what we'll be doing for both. I'm not really bothered to do it right here, but it's the same type of tactic. For the 4-1-4-1, you can decide whether you want to play on the counter or attack. Obviously, if you're not playing possession-based, you should definitely get rid of these two and make up that space for the for countering and attacking, depending on what type of team you're facing or whatnot. But for the argument's sake, we're going to use attacking, and just the same as with possession-based, I like to keep it simple. So it's more higher tempo, more direct passing, run from position still, and be more expressive. That's how simply I like it. If you're not a fan, you can get rid of roam from positions. You can pass into space. You can hit early crosses, maybe even. You can clear the ball to flanks, that's for sure, and maybe even run at defense. You can try and stay on your feet so then that you keep a good team shape. You can even lower your line, or even go or close down less, or even both if you want, and that way you draw in your opposition into your half and then you hit them on the counter. Now, when you play a high tempo and more direct, you typically go wider than normal. So if I just quickly lower it again, as you can see, it goes a little narrower. So you just naturally go wider. But if you want to go even wider, you can of course go fully wide, and that will help your direct high tempo style of play, where you just take your man on and put as much pressure on the opposition team. But again, I like keeping it simple. So roam from position, be more expressive, more direct, and higher tempo. Of course, you can change any of these during game time, but this is the basis of your tactics. So preferably, you should not be changing your tempo, passing directness, creative freedom and freedom of movement is up to you. But this is your style of play. Once you change this, then it's a bit tough. It has to be a very specific game that you're changing it for. otherwise you'll lose your style of play. You can obviously pick any of these other things during the game, just depending on your own analysis. But anyways, that's a different story for a different time. So let's figure out who makes the squad and who doesn't. So we'll have a quick look at the best 11 and see whether it actually does fit in our formations first, because this is what we should have done at the start. I was just going by my assistant's suggestion, and I guess just because they're a top team, they would be the 4-2-3-1. The Premier League seems to be obsessed with the 4-2-3-1, so it looks like it's a decent bet. Harry Kane as a striker, you got a centre mid here. Ali can play as a centre mid as well. Eriksen, Lamela, Dembele, and Son as well. So it is pretty much a 4-2-3-1. Now let's go one by one. So if it's Lloris, of course he's the first choice. Let's actually have a look at the under 23, see if there's anyone's hanging out there who shouldn't be. Vorm, you can bring him up and sell him. And in terms of age, Fazio should be there as well, but just because he's on loan and I don't think you can actually recall him, might as well leave him there, maybe sell him the next year. But either way, that's up to you. That's for next season, not this season. So let's go through the squad. And now it looks to me it makes no sense to keep this guy here. If you can get rid of him, you can't have his loan terminated. Alright, so it makes sense then. I guess you could sell Vorm, or maybe even loan him out just for the season. But it looks like, of course, Lloris will be your first choice. Lopez will be your backup. He's a decent backup, I think. Who did we say should be our staff? Miguel. Okay, Mr. Miguel. What's your judgment? Right, he is suited for Division, so Premier Division football, so that's perfectly fine. He'll be a decent backup. Kyle Walker and Kieran Trippier, two decent right backs. I think both of them are only considered good ability in the game though, so that's something to look out for. I would say, Trippier is worse. Okay, so now this makes a bit more sense. They're not both good, so it makes sense for you to sell probably Trippier and bringing an actual first choice right back, someone who's a leading player for the division, and have Kyle Walker as backup. Kyle Walker Peters is only Skybet League 1 ability, so it makes no sense to have him in the team. Instead, you should send him out on loan to try and fulfill his potential. In terms of the left back spot, got a bit more competition, I think. Danny Rose only considered good. He is susceptible to injuries, so he will probably be playing with Ben Davies more, and he's only considered good as well. So what you might want to do, considering that they're both English, no, he's Welsh, but they'll probably both be homegrown. So what you could do is get rid of Rose if you like. It's really about preferences here because they've both got the same ability. You can get rid of Rose and get a top left back as well and keep Ben Davies as backup. Rose with his injuries, we'll have a quick look at his history of injuries, but yeah, broken foot, pulled hamstring, twisted ankle. None of them are too bad besides the broken foot, strained ankle, ligaments, hamstrings as well. But yeah, you just want to try and avoid players who are susceptible to injuries because it makes a difference, of course. What's the point of playing a player with, the type of wages and whatnot? You'll get decent money from him. You can actually get maybe a better left back. Obviously, do your scouting first beforehand. You don't want to sell him and find out there's no one better than him that you can bring in. Don't just think, oh, there are better left backs out there. You have to think about whether actually they're realistic to your squad or not. Now, in centre back is pretty much where you're stocked up most probably. Even Dyer, you can play there if you are tempted. I think Dyer is going to be a bit of a utility man where you can play him around in different areas, of course, centre back and centre mid, probably even defensive mid, depending on which formation you use. So Vertonghen is a leading player, of course. Toby Alderweireld should be the same. He is leading, so that's your perfect centre back partnership. Kevin Wimmer would be a decent backup, but if you wanted to, you can always sell him and bring in someone with potential. He's 23 though, so he still does have potential. He can become a leading player, so I would suggest keeping him and just playing him in a rotation type of manner. Dyer is probably leading, he is, and according to Miguel anyways, you might want to bring in someone with better judgment of ability. Now, this is where it depends on where you play Dyer. Do you bring in another youngster, centre-back youngster who has potential, which would be perfect, or do you keep Dyer and use him as a utility man in some other place? Of course, you're not selling Dyer, but it's just a matter of where do you see him play and which formation you're using. Is he a centre mid in the 4-2-3-1, or is he a defensive midfielder in the 4-3-3 or the 4-1-4-1? Now, Son is perfect for the winger. I think he should be leading. He's good and going into leading, so definitely keep him. That's perfect. George is probably not ready for the division yet, so I'm not sure why he's in the squad. This is the type of depth that I'm talking about that Tottenham don't have. So you should send this guy out on loan, bring in someone with potential. But again, it depends on which formation you're using once more. Sissoko is a winger. who definitely I think you need to try and get rid of as soon as possible. He's a decent player only for the division. It makes no sense at all why Tottenham brought him. I'm pretty sure they're regretting it in real life as well. They bought him for 30 million and he's already not, even though he went to a higher team, he's still considered 13.25. Pretty high wages that you can get someone young instead in for. So your best bet is to get rid of Sissoko completely. Lamela is a great player. I think going to be a leading Premier Division winger. And I think he's comfortable playing across. Yeah, he is comfortable playing across. So, you know, he's really good. He can play as an inside forward and a left winger. It's really up to you. So I would say get rid of Sissoko and bring in a backup for Lamela with potential. Christian Eriksen, really good advanced playmaker, of course, leading without a doubt. Everyone knows that. It's just a matter of where you see him playing. But more so is Dele Alli, because you're not sure. You have to try and see where would you play him in midfield or attacking midfield. But he can do both roles, and I'd say shadow striker is probably his best role just to take advantage of his finishing, and he's pretty sorted out in the rest of his attributes as well. But he is capable of playing as an advanced playmaker if that's what you're more comfortable with. Really up to preference. Now in the striker department, oh yeah, actually what I wanted to say, we forgot the midfield. That's first. So Dembele is only considered good. You can maybe keep him as backup and bring in better centre mids. I think centre mids is probably an area that you need to improve in. But Ali, maybe you can drop into centre mid and just, I'm not really sure. It's really up to preferences again. Carroll, not ready at all. Yeah, send him out on loan. I don't think he'll actually improve to become a good Premier Division player because he's already 24 years of age. So you either send him out on loan or sell him. I would say sell him because he's 24, it's too late. Anoma, not ready for division either. Both of these players shouldn't even exist in the first team. It looks like centre mid is an area where you definitely have to improve in. So I would be tempted to play Eric Dyer in the centre mid position, considering where it seems to be a bit of a weakness. Wanyama is a leading player according to my assistant, well, not my assistant, but Miguel. So you do have decent players there. Maybe you can partner Wanyama and Ali, and that will be your leading partnership. And then Dembele can play as a backup, or maybe it's even, you know, Dyer, Wanyama, Dele Alli. It's really up to you in which formation you're using. In terms of the striker, of course, Janssen not good enough at all. Just a decent backup. Should be selling him and bringing in someone who's young with potential. He does have potential, I think, but my, you know, the coach Miguel doesn't really seem to have any type of opinion on him on how he'll improve. But I would guess not too much. I think at most he would just become considered a good player. So maybe you can sell him off, make some decent money from him. Also depends on which type of player you're using, I guess. Type of role would you use him in, type of formation, whatnot. So it's really up to you. Kane is already the player who's, you know, going to be a star Premier League player basically, and he's got potential and he's young. So you can bring in someone maybe a little bit younger with potential as well, instead of Janssen, to play as backup to Kane, just in case anything ever goes wrong. I don't think he's susceptible to injuries. He's not. Apparently he only does one-dimensional running. I don't know if that's the case in real life. But yeah, there you go. So as you can tell, as I always mention, I like to have a squad of 22 players. So if we just have a look right here, you're short of players already. Forget trying to improve current players, you're already short of players. So that should be an area that you look to improve in already. But really, it all depends on which formation you're using and where you're looking to improve. If you're going to go with a 4-3-3, you need to have two defensive midfielders, so that means you need a backup to Dyer. Maybe you can have a look at Wanyama if he's capable of playing there. I'm not sure if he's a defensive midfielder. Yeah, he's capable, so he would be a decent backup. Dembele is not ready for that type of role. Dele Alli is definitely not a defensive midfielder. Alright, so it depends on which formation you're using. If you're using the 4-3-3 or the 4-1-4-1, you'll need, I think you'll be okay in the defensive mid department, but you should definitely improve in the centre mid, regardless of which formation you're using. Striker is probably an area to look at into as well, and your fullbacks could probably need a little bit of an upgrading. So that's just how the Tottenham squad is. Now, in terms of who you should play, or rather what roles you should use, I think in this formation, because you're playing possession based, use Harry Kane as a complete forward on support. Eriksen will be comfortable as an attacking midfielder, advanced playmaker on attack. Lamela is an inside forward on the right, I think, and Son is a winger. As we always mention, the 4-2-3-1, this midfield pair over here need to be a bit more defensive. So let's say we want Son to be a bit more attacking. Lamela's capable of crossing, which you need on a support decent inside forward. We'll play this fullback on support and this wing back on attack. and I think that suits Kyle Walker a little bit. So we'll play this midfielder centre mid on defence and a deep line playmaker on support. I think this suits this type of formation more than anything, and you do have the players capable of playing them. Wanyama and I think maybe even Dembele is comfortable doing this role. I think for some reason always says Dembele is a deep line playmaker, which I kind of consider him to be in real life, but he just does not have the vision for it. It's something that I really hate. He just has no vision whatsoever. There you go, fairly blinkered when it comes to picking out passes. Just makes no sense to really play him in that role. We'll have a look actually if he can even play as a centre mid on the fence. Decent there. He looks like he's a little bit better. It's probably your best bet actually. Let's see. So yeah, if you play this role, it should suit the team a bit more. So this is how you should play as a 4-3-1. I think you've got ball playing defenders. We can have a quick look at the centre backs. It says that all ball playing defenders, so at least one of them are good. So but you don't want to play 2 ball playing defenders. That's too many through balls and risky type of plays. So just one of them. Pick which one you want according to preference. If they would like to play on the left or on the right side of the defense. The 4-3-3 is going to be a little bit different. Harry Kane definitely still complete forward on support. I think this should be an inside forward still and a winger here. So the area that's going to change really is your defensive mid. Now, Dyer is perfectly capable of playing as an anchor man, and I think that's probably the best role for a defensive midfielder in the 4-3-3. You can also play a halfback, which is really good, but it depends on if he's capable of that or not. So obviously it's also down to you for preferences, but I just like the anchor man because he doesn't do anything other than hold his position, gets rid of everything, and he's just the perfect defensive midfielder you're looking for. It's like having a third centre back. A halfback is good, but he does use more of, you know, his vision and things like that. You can even look at the attributes. The good thing is that, sorry, this shouldn't be a wing back, this should be a fullback. The good thing is that it does spread your fullbacks further up because he does kind of drop in between your centre backs here. So that could be an advantage, but of course it depends on your formation and your tactics. But I would say just play Dyer where he's best, his anchor man role. In the midfield, what you'll have to do, you can play an advanced playmaker on attack here, decide whether you want to drop Eriksen here, make him come back, or whether you want to play him out wide, maybe possibly take up Son's position, plays him an inside forward. It's all about preferences. And over here you can probably play a ball-winning playmaker, that'd be amazing, ball-winning midfielder on support. Now this is basically the perfect trio of midfielders who play possession-based football. He'll be winning all the balls, he'll be holding down the line, and he'll be creating all attacks. It's just perfect, suits possession-based football perfectly. But here is where you're going to have a different type of test. So now definitely you're going to be playing 2 wingers here. We'll have a quick look at Eriksen, but I don't think he can play as a wide playmaker if you drop him. I'm looking at a different squad entirely. That's great. Okay, so he can play as a winger as well, so I guess that's decent. But wide playmaker, oh, he's got poor positioning. I guess that kind of makes sense. But I would be tempted to still play him there because he does have defensive security in this tactics. You know, you don't have to worry too much. It's not like a 4-4-2 where if you play him as a wide playmaker, you're into trouble. But yeah, again, all preferences, you can play him in centre mid as well. So let's just say for safety's sake, and because we're trying to play an attack, a more direct type of style and higher tempo, we'll be playing 2 wingers. So a winger on attack here, winger on support, and a fullback on attack here. And now this is where things change a little bit. Of course, in the striker department, you'll play Kane in his most natural, I guess you can call it natural sort of role. He's a target man on support. It seems the game thinks that's his best role. I think so too, to be honest. He is a decent complete forward, but I think just to use literally just his best attributes is target man. He doesn't have too much aggression, which is a bit of a worry. I think that's kind of unrealistic. But he does shoot from distance and shoot from power, which is the things that you need from a target man. I guess a complete forward would be decent in that too. He does have long shots. But yeah, it's good. It's just about trying to see how you want to utilize him. But he's a solo striker here, so he has to be played on support duty. So target man on support, and you're trying to play more direct, so it makes sense. You could play him as a complete forward if you're not comfortable with target man, but just for the sake of playing directly in high tempo, target man makes more sense. Now in defensive mid, in centre mid is where you're going to have your issue about picking your midfield. So I would say Dyer, don't really play him as an anchor man anymore. Play him possibly as a defensive midfielder. I think that suits direct play a little bit more. Anchor man, not too much. I think you can still play him as an anchor man, but just suits possession based a bit more. So you're probably best keeping him as a defensive midfielder. Now, you don't want to play an advanced playmaker anymore, because that's going to try and make everything go through the centre mid area, as well as just slow things down. So you're going to play the centre mid on attack, which I think Dele Alli and Eriksen should be comfortable playing with. Obviously not their best roles, but they can definitely do damage there without that, even especially Dele Alli, because he's got the finishing that you need for a centre mid on attack. Let's just quickly show you here. So you see, he could play that role. It's all about training him there and playing him there, and I think even Eriksen probably capable of doing that. Yeah, so it's fine. You've got players who can do that job. It's really about how you want to do it, and eventually you can start, you know, over time, changing your team into this more often. Now, for the support role, you do have a couple of options. You can play the ball-winning midfielder still, but that suits more possession-based than it does direct play. But you could probably play a box-to-box midfielder. I think Dembele will suit that more, and I think Wanyama will be comfortable playing there as well, so it's completely fine. You can also play a deep line playmaker on support, but the problem is he's a little bit too defensive considering you have this backup here. You don't really need to worry about being defensive, so I would say if it's just about trying to suit your players, you can play deep line playmaker, but my best bet is box-to-box midfielder, or yeah, I think just box-to-box midfielder really. I would lean to box-to-box midfielder, but ball-winning midfielder, deep line playmaker, both capable. It really depends on preferences once again. So this would be a perfect direct style of play formation. I think that will be all for today, but we will have a quick look at the youngsters, under 23s and whatnot, who to look out for. So in terms of ability, you've got a good player in Bentaleb coming back. I don't think you can actually call him back just yet. He would be perfect though, because you do need someone in centre mid. He's completely suited for Premier Division football as well. It's a bit of a shame that he's out there. So maybe you might want to look in bringing someone on loan instead of buying someone completely and then Bentaleb's without a spot in the squad. But again, depends on which formation you're using. You know, you have less competition for the 4-2-3-1. So I think I mentioned already, but the reason I like a squad of 22 is because you need a squad of 11 who are already your first choice players, leading players of the Premier Division, and then you've got the backups with potential, another 11 there, and that's 22 players. Perfect squad size really, with plenty of rotation. I think Tottenham are in the Champions League this season, so you'll need plenty of rotation. So in terms of ability, you do have some decent players. No one completely ready for the Premier League just yet, so some of them need one more season out on loan, like George. Kyle Walker's maybe as well. He's just Sky Bet League 1, but I think he's get there. Marcus Edwards is definitely a player to look out for. He's probably a starter player. Let's have a look at potential actually. Marcus Edwards, Bentaleb, Onoma. You've got some star players here coming through. It's all about just making sure they do well out on their loans, trying to avoid injury as much as possible. But yeah, that will be all for today's episode. So if you did enjoy it, then please do hit the like button, of course, and subscribe for more daily Football Manager 2017 content. And as always, thank you guys for watching.